Hello, welcome to Leadership Unscripted, where real leaders have real conversations about what it's like to live with integrity in today's world. We are at IMC, our International Maxwell Conference. We do this twice a year. We've been doing it for a number of years. We're in Orlando, and today I am super excited because not only do I get the pleasure of having a conversation with one of our coaches who's been with us now for 2 years, I get to talk about an unbelievable educational leader who is driven by her passion for students. Dr. Amy Carter is the superintendent of Meridian Public Schools and has more than 20 years of experience in the classroom, the boardroom. She's been everywhere. She has a clear vision about the future of the next generation, and she focuses a lot on innovation. You're going to hear a lot about innovation from Dr. Carter. We are so excited to have you here. I met Dr. Carter. I met you at last IMC, I think, in March. And then Susie talks about Dr. Carter all the time. She talks about you all the time. So I'm like, we get Dr. Carter on the show and talk. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all you're doing. Talk a little bit about your role and what you do for Meridian County, what that means, your team. You can talk about your team a little bit, and then talk about one thing you're really excited about this school year as it's just started.
Well, first and foremost, allow me to say thank you to you. Thank you to the iLead team, and especially the John Maxwell team. I just have to be honest and say it feels like I'm home yet again every time I get to come to an IMC and come spend time with my tribe. So ultimately, when we think about the superintendency, and I thank you for applauding 20 years in this, but honestly, I look very young. This is year number 32.
30.
Year number 10 as a superintendent. Now, I have to be honest and say the tenure for superintendents is somewhere around 3 to 5 years. And believe it or not, I'm looking around my state, and a lot of the superintendents that I started with are no longer in the role. And so I am known now as what they call an OG, someone who's been around a little while, who is offering advice and support, coaching, and just overall empowerment and love to new superintendents who are jumping in the fold and saying, hey, I'm courageous enough to do this. So when I think about Meridian, oh, what an experience. When I started, I had no clue that I'd be at this for almost 10 years. I thought, what in the world have I done by stepping into a role like this? But ultimately, it has been one challenge, one opportunity, and one victory after the other. When I think about the people that I get to serve and the people that serve my community, we are really in the business of growing learners to become leaders. Some of our catchphrases are where learners become leaders. Leaders are readers. Readers are leaders. And so the goal is just to overall empower students to understand that you were created to make a difference in this world. And in Meridians, our legacy is we just build and grow leaders.
That's so great. You mentioned something I want to touch on. You said a lot of the superintendents you started with are not doing that anymore. Talk a little bit about the difficulty in leading at your level, at that level, right? The challenges that you face as a leader there, and speak to and encourage a lot of the superintendents that will be listening and watching this. Speak to them about, hey, we need you to stay in the game.
Well, first and foremost, I think sometimes leaders go into roles and they go in with a passion and a fire, but sometimes they get to a point where they question the why. Why did I do this? I've had the pleasure of mentoring multiple superintendents in our state. And when you start off, you're thinking, let me go in and change the world, make a difference for students. But the role of the superintendency is somewhat different because you're having to somewhat lead from the middle. Although you're the CEO of your organization or your school district, you find yourself having to learn how to cater to a school board. And in some cases, that's 5 or 7 bosses who have 5 or 7 different agendas that you have to figure out, along with coaching and mentoring your principals, making sure you cast a vision that people can buy into, that they can own, while supporting and growing your leadership team, your community, and yourself. So ultimately, when I think about superintendents in this stage, the first and foremost thing I would encourage them to do is, number one, have a relationship with a higher power. You can do nothing in your own strength. That's the first thing. And then secondly, it's okay to get a coach. It's okay to get someone who can be your sounding board, because so often in the superintendency, it feels like such a lonely journey. And I've learned over the years to be able to say it's okay to enjoy the journey, to slow down, to enjoy the challenges and the experiences, but get someone who can be your thought partner, someone that you can trust that not necessarily has to be a part of your organization. That's important. But someone who will say, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to help you think through it. I'm going to help you think through the challenges that come from managing or connecting with a school board, managing and connecting with the community, and more importantly, keeping the children and their needs at the forefront of everything you do. So I would say, number one, get connected to a spiritual being, a higher power. Number two, make sure you get someone that could be a confidant or a coach. I was blessed to have a coach to help me think through some powerful leadership decisions that I had to make. And believe it or not, that coach led me to John Maxwell and the IMC process. So how wonderful is that? And then last but not least, celebrate the small victories. Don't feel like you have to climb the mountain all in one day. Do a little bit, celebrate a little bit. Do a little bit, celebrate a little bit. Do everything you can to empower your people. One of the things I'm having to do now in year number 10 is I'm honestly having to say, what is our succession plan? If for some reason I decide I want to do something else or other doors open, who else are we preparing to replace me? And then who are those people preparing to replace them? That is critical. It's always about growth and progress when you think about this journey. We're always about lifelong learning, and ultimately, everyone has an opportunity to grow in a school district and an organization, especially when you've been there a while.
That's so good. What I love about what you're talking about is what John's book, 360-degree leadership, right? You're a 360-degree leader. I can tell already. Talk a little bit about your Wildcat family, right? Talk about how you lead your team. What does that look like? You talked about the importance of raising up leaders, which sometimes in education gets missed. The importance of, because you're so busy, there's a lot of pressure. Talk about the importance of 360-degree leadership within the Wildcat family.
Well, when I think about the Wildcat family, we have a saying that says, number one, we all bleed blue. And sometimes we have to unpack what does blue mean for different people. It may mean one thing for you and one thing for me. But ultimately, when I think about leading my team, I'm so thankful that I lead now differently 9 years later than I did when I first started. When I first started, I felt like it was all about me, and I had to have all the answers. And I had to be the one to have all of the problems solved. But ultimately, I found out very quickly in this journey that the more you value the voices, the more you have the team positioned where various leaders can emerge, depend on the challenge, depend on the opportunity. And then ultimately, we have just been growing together. One of the things I've been blessed to do with my team is we've studied the 5 levels of leadership. And so we understand the importance of striving for that level 5 leadership, which is that pinnacle leadership, but being okay with it. If I start at level 1, my position is not the thing that drives people following me. It's my connection and the level of trust that I build with people. So it's been critical for me as a leader to establish trust, to establish safety, safe havens for people to be vulnerable, and to be okay with saying, hey, I don't know, but together we can figure this out. So when I think about the journey we continue to have as the Wildcat family, I'm not the one who's always in front. It's so much fun to push others who normally don't see their talents and strengths and say, hey, all of us do something well, but let's go ahead and push you to the front this time because you did this a whole lot better than I did last time. And it's amazing how our team has really flipped to the point where, although my name is there as superintendent, I have so many wonderful team members who emerge in their strengths and their talents, carry and drive it, and they're driving us to the next level.
It's a team, doesn't it? You can't do it by yourself. Let's pivot to students, right? Your heartbeat, right? Your heartbeat, students. So, students in today's age, academics is really driving a lot of education, right? There's AP courses and the pressure to get to a university or the next phase, whatever that might be. Talk a little bit about how you as a leader in your team and in your schools help students find a path towards their strengths and their passions, every student towards that.
Well, now you're talking my language. When they walk in the door, we remind them all that all of us possess genius. And it's up to us as the educators to help them figure out what is their space of genius. For some of my students, it's the arts. For some of my students, it's athletics. From some of my students, it's preparing them for the workforce. So we find ourselves exploring the various pathways in my district. We have what we call the Freshman Academy experience, where they explore the 16 career clusters. And then by the time they get to grades 10 through 12, they are actually now in an academy. We have what we call the Arts Academy, the Business Academy. And so in those academies are pathways. And what's so cool about it, the students, the interest inventories, we celebrate them for those things. We're creating practical, real world, work-based learning experiences for students not to graduate high school and go, oh, what do I do next? But to actually have a path and a plan before that. In Meridian, we have what we call the 4 E's. Now, I messed up. I called it the 3 E's at first. It was to make sure you graduate employed, ready to enlist, and then ready to employ. And one of the students said, Dr. Carter, you forgot one. What about entrepreneurship? I said, well, you know what? You have to go those routes to get to the other.
That's right.
So we're having fun growing leaders
that.
in Meridian.
I love those 4 E's. I love that. All right, we're wrapping up here. This has been great. Talk a little bit about iLead. You're dipping your toe in it, so tell me what you think about it.
Okay, real quick. I get a call from the state superintendent. He says, would you do iLead? And I'm the John Maxwell lady in Mississippi, of course. Meridian's always innovative and we're the first. So we are excited about being the first school district to implement iLead. Excited, cheering everybody on. So ultimately what's happening is we are creating a sense of value and worth in students by, number one, allowing them to experience the values. It's important for every student not only to just know where they're headed in life, but to know what it takes to get there. So we're exploring those soft skills that are necessary for our children to be successful in the world. So thank you, John Maxwell. Thank you, the iLead team. And more importantly, thank you, Dr. Evans, my state superintendent, for calling me and saying, would you try this, Amy?
Yeah, we love Dr. Evans.
He's awesome.
Secretary Watson, everybody that's got behind this has been great. All right, rapid fire to end, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. You get 30 minutes, okay, to spend with anybody dead or alive, okay? You can't say Jesus, okay? So 30 minutes, who would it be?
Oh, gosh.
And blank.
I have to be honest. It has to be John Maxwell. I have followed this guy since I was a teenager. I knew there was something in me that I was supposed to change the world and lead. I just did not know how. And so ultimately, I'm reading these books about someone that I had not a clue that one day I would be sitting in the room and I would get to meet. So I would have to honestly say John Maxwell.
Have you met John?
I have. It's been a blessing and a gift.
Isn't it great? He's the greatest, isn't he?
He
Oh,
is.
my gosh.
Yes.
All right. We love you. We are so thankful for you. Thank you for leading the way. The state of Mississippi has a jewel here of a leader. We're happy and so happy you're part of the Maxwell family, the iLead family now, and thank you for leading the next generation and just being a champion for the hearts of those students.